Are you ready to be happier than a turtle duck in a maple palm tree? They do that, right? Cross tree thing?
Hey there, Nomads of Lore. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Sean.
And we are Mead and Mischief, your home away from no home. Today we're going to be discussing Book 2 or Season 2 of Avatar, not the blue people. We'll keep our
The Last Airbender.
The Last Airbender. And so like last time, this is my first time watching through Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen our reaction to Season 1, you should check it out.
Wherever the eye lives, over here probably.
Over here, or over there. I think it's over there.
YouTube will change it by the time we release it. So, somewhere there'll be a link.
Yeah. So definitely check that out. Also, there's spoilers for sure. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
We'll definitely
everything through Book 2.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of Book 2. So
not Book 3 because he hasn't even seen it yet.
Nope, I haven't seen that one.
I won't. I'll try real hard not to spoil it.
So yeah, it's basically my reaction, and that's just conversing about Book 2.
Because it's awesome.
It is.
So, in the first episode of Book 2 is the Avatar State. So, there's the crazy Earth general guy who is trying to help Aang get into the Avatar State. So, that happens. We also see Iroh and Zuko meet back up with Zuko's sister. We actually meet Azula, and she's telling them, "Hey, your father is gonna welcome you home and whatever." And then the guard slips up and is like, "All right, what do you want to do with the prisoners?" And she, of course, has death stare and probably killed him after. We just don't see it.
Probably.
And
she's a scary, crazy. Girl.
Yeah, she is. And so and then they are runaways and whatever else. So what do you think about that episode? Both bits of that.
It was good. You get to see her and how scary she is I think, does she do some of her blue fire lightning looking stuff in that episode?
Just fire. I don't think I'd have to go back and look to be sure, but I don't think there's any lightning yet. Or blue fire. It's
crazy. She's
very
crazy.
Precise.
Yeah, you see at some point, I guess later in this season that how crazy she was as a child and how much better of a student and fighter she was than Zuko as a child. And it definitely shows in everything that she does. And
oh yeah, I think the very first scene. The very first scene is actually the last episode of the other. Where we just see her coming out and going to with
her father telling her, "Go get your brother."
Yeah, but I think the first thing we see her is where she's got the two. I guess they're her grandparents. I don't know who the old ladies are, but they're she's doing this form or whatever, and she shoots either lightning or fire. I don't remember, and they're like almost perfect, only one hair out of place, and she's mad because it's not quite perfect. It's not
perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever else, but yeah, she's crazy. What about the Avatar State part where the Earth General guy trying to get Aang into the Avatar State?
Oh yeah, and he's trying to tick him off, and finally he does because he tries to kill Katara almost, or at least
buries her and whatever else.
Aang starts freaking out, and then he goes in the Avatar State and can't get him out, which is scary.
Yeah,
and of course she has to calm him down. I think again, pretty much every time he goes into that state, Katara's there to kind of cool him off and get him back out, which is cool. Their connection. Starting to see the maybe love thing going on. Something. Yeah. So anyway, no, that was funny to see. Everybody. Of course, everybody's going to try to use the Avatar to their advantage because he's the most powerful person in the world. So if somebody can control him, of course they would.
Well, it kind of goes to what you were talking about earlier. In the last video about not everybody being bad in the fire, I don't know, you could debate whether that general was bad or not, but he was definitely unwise and a bit unhinged. And just very much you hit the nail on the head, trying to take advantage and control and whatever
controlling
else. Yeah.
And luckily he didn't get to, and it definitely backfired on him.
Even though he didn't think it did, he was ready to go.
He was excited. He was like, "See, we did it!" And you're like, "What? No, we cannot do this every time."
Episode 2, we don't have to talk very long about, but if you've seen the show, this should get you get you there.
The face palm.
What did you think about the Cave of Two Lovers with the nomads?
And
the thing and maybe we should kiss.
There was some comic relief with the musicians and the basically hippie people. That was hilarious. And then of course Katara and Sokka getting separated with them, and Katara and Aang being alone, and then finding basically running out of their little light was about to go out, and they're like
they were about to kiss, and then
he goes, what did he say to her? He's like, maybe we should kiss, and he's like, well, I don't want to kiss you. I don't remember how he says it.
It's
so funny because he does want to kiss her really bad, but the way he says it, she takes offense, and anyway, it's very comical. And then finally they do kiss, and it lights up the way out, and they get out and everything. That was it was a funny filler episode for sure.
It was. I think it's hilarious. I love the hippie guy. And die.
He's like, he makes up a song at some point, I think, too, and it was. Or maybe Sokka has to stop
the badger moles.
And he's like single note, ding 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 ding. Come on, guys, help me! And then they all come in, and it was a good episode. It was hilarious.
It was fun. So you kind of alluded to this next episode. We don't have to talk about it too long either. But then they go back to Omashu because he's ready to train earthbending. So they're like, okay, we're going to go to get King Boomy to train me,
because that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so they go, and the Fire Nation has invaded Omashu, and not only invaded but conquered it basically. And
there's hardly any earthbenders anywhere.
They are trying to get and save people and get them out of there, and there's the Pentapox thing, and with the swamp creatures, which is
how they get into the city was funny. And then of course, Aang is like earth or airbending to get the sludge away from him basically, and then Katara's doing the same thing but water bending to get it away, and then poor Sokka at the back is just like eating it almost. And then he gets out, and he's got the Penta what were they?
Penta something.
They're little squid.
I don't remember what Penta something, because they call the disease Pentapox later to get the people out. But so the two cool things that happen in there is King Boomy is captured. That happens toward the end of the thing. Aang goes to rescue him, and he's like, "No, don't rescue me." And you see you get to see even more how powerful Boomy is, being able to earthbend significantly with just his face free. He doesn't need his hands movement or whatever else.
That was kind of a comical scene. He's like, "You've been able to bend this whole time?" He's like, "Well, they didn't cover up my face."
And then he says, "Well, no, I'm not supposed to be your
you need to find somebody who listens to the earth." That was cool. It was cool. I definitely am interested to see what his role will be in season 3. Because I'm sure he has one. Because why wouldn't he? But that was a good that was a good sequence, and you get to see
we meet Ty Lee and May.
Yeah, Ty Lee and May. Yeah. Which one's the longer-haired kind of ditzy one? Is that Ty Lee?
That's Ty Lee. Yeah,
and she
the
like
carnival girl
hits different pressure points and makes it to where
blocks their chi.
Yeah, that was interesting for sure.
Well, and it's the first real defense against bending that we've seen, and it's kind of it scares the crap out of Katara for a long time. And then there's May. I love May. I don't know that you like. But
I like her.
Her super dry, doesn't care about anything. But is loyal to people as far as she does, and she goes with Azula basically because okay, it's at least it's not boring, whatever.
Yeah,
but her fighting with her knives and stuff is crazy cool. But yeah. So gonna keep on clipping. But okay, so the swamp comes next. There's so many good things. We're going to try to talk about these quickly, but there's so much in this season that's cool. The swamp. What did you think about the swamp episode?
Oh, with the
creepy
with the redneck guys.
Oh yeah,
that was there.
It's like possum chicken.
It was definitely kind of a more eerie episode, kind of like the face stealer.
Sure.
And you're like, what is what is following them, and it's alive and all this
creepy
stuff.
ghost looking girl.
Yeah,
shows up. Yeah, whatever,
and then I think even Sokka sees his
Yue
love.
And Katara sees her mother, and it's pretty hard on both of them.
Yeah, and the freaking poor. What is the little monkey thing? I can't remember what his name is. Momo. Poor Momo.
The lemur.
Yeah, they're trying to get away.
That's a lemur.
Yeah, they're trying to get away from these crazy guys that are wanting to eat him, and him and the bison, and the very comical scenes with these guys chasing him down. And then you get to see the kind of this tentacled, not tentacle, but vine, I guess is what it is, monster, who actually ends up being just a
waterbender.
Waterbender, that can control the vines because they have water in them.
Yeah,
and
which is I think the first time you see a different version of a bending where it's like using bending in a different way that we didn't know was possible before. Yeah, and I think that's the first time we see
that was cool. And then when they finally realize that he's just trying to protect the swamp, and he doesn't know they're not trying to kill it, even though Sokka's tearing everything up just because he's trying to get out and he's freaked out and all this stuff. Typical Sokka fashion. And then the ending was good. I can't really remember what
everything in the world is connected.
Yeah,
we're all connected. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's so Avatar Day. A lot of people. I feel like a lot of people don't like Avatar Day, and I don't know why. If you don't like Avatar Day. Let us know in the comments why not, because I'm curious. Because I like Avatar Day. Avatar Day is where basically Aang is framed for murder, and it's got the beginning part where they're like, "Oh yay! It's a celebration for the Avatar. Let's go watch!" And then there's these big parade floats. Oh my gosh, so cool!
Yeah, it's like a really good replica of Aang, and then a couple of the
Kyoshi
past.
What's his name?
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know. I can't think of the fire. Roku. Yeah.
Yeah, Roku. Yeah, that's right.
But not the player. Anyway. And then, it's a torch. And Sokka's, I got a torch. It's so manly. And whatever. And then he goes running and lights the thing on fire. And they're like, oh my gosh. And,
it's anti-Avatar Day, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that was a good... that whole... The detectiveness of
Sokka
and
was
really...
Katara.
Really Katara, but Sokka keeps getting frustrated. Shut up! I am the one that has the hat. It's a good episode. They find out a lot about. You just said her name. What's her name?
Kyoshi.
Yeah, and what happened on that day. They or at least they think they find out.
Yeah,
and
she couldn't possibly have done it.
Yeah. And then they come to find out that it didn't matter. None of it mattered. Them going on the little hunt didn't matter because it's all up to the leader to decide whether his fate is
justice system.
Yeah, it's all jacked up anyway. So then Aang is sitting out there and he he takes the evidence and completely butchers it. And
something about a boot. I have really big feet. He's got these little tiny feet.
It was really funny. Because I don't know if he was nervous or just unfocused. I don't know.
I think that's just kind of the way they portray his character a little bit. Just kind of as easy, happy, go lucky, whatever.
dress him up as
Kyoshi
yeah. And
makeup and all.
He's like, I'm Kyoshi. And then she comes, and it's crazy.
Yeah,
and
I love
everything
that scene.
gets dark, and yeah, they're all freaking out, and and she's like, no, I killed him.
Yep.
And
he deserved it.
He deserved it. Yeah.
I don't feel bad about
I'm
it at
not
all.
guilty at all. And then they're about to. They use a wheel to decide his fate. That was the most comical thing to me.
It was dumb, but it was funny.
It was so funny. There was like death by shark and death by all these different
boiled
things.
In oil.
Boiled in oil. That's what he ended up getting. And then of course he saves him, and they decide not to kill him.
Yeah. It's like, I can't stop the
because I'm about to be boiled
in oil. And,
yeah.
Oh, here you go, community service. Go serve your community. And stop those people.
Stop the rhinos.
And then they change Avatar Day, and their new festival food is unfried dough to celebrate the day the Avatar was not boiled in oil.
Not boiled in oil. Yeah.
Sokka decides this is the worst town we've been to.
Yeah. No, that was a good. I definitely enjoyed that episode.
So then you alluded to new characters. So the episode called "The Blind Bandit."
Oh man,
I won't even give a lead in. What did you think about that?
The scene, you're anticipate they go into basically this WWE wrestling arena, and there's all these different
the boulder,
yeah, and the boulder comes out and he's destroying everybody and kicking everybody's butt, and then the blind bandit comes out. It's this little girl,
and the boulder is conflicted about beating up a little girl.
Yeah, and then she says something to him, and
the boulder is no longer conflicted.
Oh man, no! And then she takes him out and with
super
nothing.
Easy. Yeah,
like he moves his foot and she throws him off the ledge. And anyway,
she senses and Aang realizes she listens to the earth.
She's gonna be So he tries to go up there and talk to her, and she doesn't want to talk. She just wants to kick his butt, but then he kicks her butt.
Yeah, well, knocks her with airbending
in defense, basically. And of course she's ticks mad. Her off. Yeah. And so anyway, so they decide they need to go find her. They find her at her parents' house, which is they're the richest people in town, and of course you find out that she's been hiding this because her parents are extremely overprotective.
Talk about helicopter parents.
Yeah. And anyway, so there's that whole scene, and then some people come in to capture her and Aang, and anyway, it's a really good episode. I love her character, Toph's character. It you don't get to really. I mean, you do see her in that episode, but you don't get to really know her.
You see how powerful she is, but you don't see her character as much.
But her character is just, she's so cool. She's
fun.
Funny, and a really, really good earthbender. So it was a good episode.
So there's a couple of there's a totally Zuko episode. We see nobody else. We see Zuko alone, where we get a little bit of backstory. We get where he's given the dagger and Azula's given the doll, which she of course hates. And and you get to see her calculating connivingness. I mean, you start to see. I mean, she's young in those flashbacks, but how calculating and smart she is, as well as how powerful and evil she is. But you see, Zuko comes to this town. It's kind of the classic Western gunslinger episode where, he comes and he meets this kid, but unlike a lot of classic gunslinger episodes or shows or movies or whatever, at the end, he is trying really hard to not reveal that he's a firebender, but then he basically doesn't have a choice, and he does. And then everybody, including this kid who loved him and he protected and he saved this kid and everything else, everybody turns their back on him, and he ends up basically in the same place he was at the end, which is
the beginning.
Yeah, which it's a super cool episode. It's again, I mean, everybody that talks about in a positive light, which most people that talk about it do, Avatar, you can't help but continue to talk about how serious and how this is for a Nickelodeon show. I mean, and that episode is one more epitome of that. That is just, it doesn't end happy, and they love Zuko at the end, and he gets a moment of redemption and hope.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You honestly thought that was what was going to happen for a little while, and I was like, "Oh, this is good," and then no, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah,
this kid would be a good guy if the world would just give him a break just once, you know." Anyway, yeah, no, that was a really good episode, and thought it was real sad at the end because it's trying to give him the knife, and he won't even take that, which is an earthbending knife. I mean, it's an earth knife, and Zuko's like, I need
read
to give
the
it
inscription.
Back
Made in Earth King. The other one, the other side.
Never give up, or
whatever
like
it is.
Yeah.
Never give up. Never
surrender.
Yeah, I think it's never stop fighting. But
yeah.
Great episode.
Episode.
So there's the chase episode where they're following them because of Appa, and they can't get any sleep, and they're all hollering at each other. That's exciting. And then say bitter work. I feel like that's a big episode. What happens in that? We can I'll come back to that in a second while I look up and remind myself what it is. The library. What did you think about the library episode?
So that was a really cool episode. Took him a little while to find the library out in the middle of nowhere. And they meet the professor, I believe.
Yeah, he's a Ba Sing Se University.
Yeah. And he's like, we gotta go. You should go check out this library because they'll maybe have some information on the firebending nation, which is what you're looking for. So they finally find it, and they go down, and then there's the owl.
Yeah, Wang Shi Tong.
What is he? I don't even remember what he is.
He's a spirit of like knowledge and learning, basically.
Right. So they've got this huge library that's got all knowledge from all kinds of places, and of course,
Foxy.
The owl's like at the very beginning tells them, I don't. Yeah, the foxy
knowledge seekers.
But no, he tells them I don't want to let anybody have any knowledge if they're going to use it against other humans, because that's just not. I don't want to be like that. So if you're going to do that, and of course, Sokka lies, of course, and tells them that they're not going to, and then he goes and steals a bunch of stuff and finds different things that he thinks will help them, kind of, and it ends up helping them for sure, because they find out. Through
eclipse.
all of it that there's an eclipse coming, and that's when something in the past, something bad happened to the Fire Nation, and now there's another eclipse coming, and it's before the new comet comes, so that's a chance for them to actually do some good damage to the Fire Nation, or at least hopefully stop them. And so that scene was crazy, and then of course you've got Toph up with the
Appa
and little Momo, and I think Momo was up there. No, Momo
goes
anyway.
With him.
Yeah. So Appa and Toph are up on the top because she didn't want to go down there, which kind of understandable because it's books and she can't see. So there's a lot of comical stuff about that. It's it's kind of sad, but it's
I've felt books before.
Yeah,
didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, she the owl decides at that point, once he learns that they're trying to kill the Fire Nation, he sinks
it or pulls it back in the spirit world.
Yeah, whatever he's doing. Yeah, and so she is sitting out there basically holding the opening up for them so that they can get out, using her earthbending to hold the top of the library out of the sand.
Which she can barely do.
And she's barely doing that. Well, the sand people come and they're trying to steal Appa, and he fights pretty good, but can't get away from him. And they end up taking him, and she's real sad. It's a real sad moment, actually, almost like teary moment, because she, even though she's only known him for a very short time, she really obviously cares for him, and he gets taken, and she can't do anything about it because it's like the one versus the many, and we can hopefully get him later, kind of thing. So anyway, hard scene, hard episode, but it's good. It's a good one.
So bitter. I realized what bitter work was. That's the Earth training, which is a hilarious episode because of Sokka, of course, getting stuck in the dirt and with the little meat creature, and Aang, of course, is they set up a precedent in this show that for the Avatar, the opposite of your your initial bending discipline is the most challenging for you, and so he struggles with earthbending. He has a really hard time doing it, and he wants to do the rock-a-ledge and the whatever else, and she's trying to get him to move a rock, and he can't even do that, and she trains him, and then Katara goes and she pulls Toph aside. I think he really responds well to a gentle touch and lots of encouragement, and she's like, okay, fine, whatever, and then her gentle touch is she takes his staff and starts using it as a nutcracker and smashing it, and to make him mad, basically, and then he finally does get mad, and which is a cool scene. Really, I liked it a lot. It's kind of a emotional scene where you really see her plan come to fruition, that it really did work, and she's bend now, do it now, and he takes and he does, and he's able to bend and
takes the anger and basically puts it into into
because
he stands up to her and the saber-tooth
moose lion
there you go, which is another comical animal,
especially with the little meat creature sleeping on Sokka's
poor Sokka's just sitting there like
and Aang comes up to him and whatever before that and and Sokka's like, could you airbend me out of here? He tries and just blows dirt in his face and whatever, and then Aang is like pouring his soul out and keeps using basically references to being stuck and between a rock and a hard place. And
Sokka's like, I know how you feel.
And all that bit is quite funny, but. Yeah, that's a fun episode.
And then you find Toph has been sitting there the whole time,
basically
watching them, and
and that's when she does the final crack, and Aang says, "That's enough, quit, do it." And basically the assertive, he has to be able to take that. He can't be pussyfooting around. That's not what the word she uses, but twinkle toes, which basically that idea. You have to earthbend, you have to be assertive, and you have to stand and be firm and whatever else, and he finally does and is able to earthbend. So that's great. So skipping back, there's the desert after the library. Aang is mad at Aang is mad at Toph, mad at the Sandbenders, mad at the world. He goes off and tries to find him, and can't find him. He ends up going into Avatar state and basically being ready to kill them all. Katara again talks him down, and he then at that point it's like, okay, I'm not even going to go into the Avatar state ever because I don't want to be out of control like that anymore. And so of course he's very upset, and he tries to shove his emotions down and like, okay, we're just going to, because the guy they find a guy, Toph is able to hear his voice and recognize the voice of one of the people Sand takes him. And so they find out that he's headed to Ba Sing Se, and so like, well, let's just get there as quick as we can or whatever.
So they decide they're going to go on the Serpent Pass.
Yes.
And then somebody's like, "Oh, you don't want to go on the Serpent Pass." Yeah. This little family kind of,
which is actually family. I saw on another video. I didn't realize the cute family actually is the same. It's the same. The lady is the same person as from Zuko alone. The pregnant lady. It's the same pregnant lady for 4, which is what.
Is it the mom?
Supposedly,
okay.
But I don't know. But that I saw that on somebody else's video or something.
Another thing got to throw in here is the cabbage guy,
the cabbage merchant, recurring joke.
Because I think it's like 4, 5, 6 times that he sets up his cabbages. And they get demolished by something. It is so funny, and it's always the same. And then there's anyway, funny.
Yeah, very good recurring joke throughout the show. So they end up making it. They meet Suki briefly, and she helps them, and Sokka's like protecting her very carefully because his last girlfriend. Well, he's in love with her, and his last girlfriend died and became the moon. And it's all this complicated, and she's like, "No, it's fine. I can take care of myself." And that's which is a cool character moment. Sokka's arc is kind of subtle and slowish through it, but you see these moments of humility, him becoming humbled, and but then taking that and so there's that in there. But they end up making it to Ba Sing Se. They make it to the front of Ba Sing Se and discover that the Fire Nation's there with a big old
giant
drill,
yeah,
and gonna try to dig, and then So what about the drill stuff?
Stepping back for a second, the scene where they go across the snake thing was interesting to me because Toph is a very, very strong person, very strong personality, and then she ends up not Sokka, but his sister Katara ends up making an ice bridge.
Yes.
From the center, because they're out in the middle of the water and there's this crazy monster and everything that Aang's fighting, and Toph doesn't want to get on the ice.
Nope.
I thought that was a very interesting scene but it does kind of allude to later when she's, if she's in the air or she's somewhere she can't feel the vibrations of the earth, she can't see, so it's very scary for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so fast forwarding back to the drill.
So she's strong, but not
perfect, or not unstoppable, kind of thing. Yeah, she's got her own flaws that you see, which is interesting. Yeah. So the drill is kind of a crazy monstrosity that you're like, oh my gosh, it's metal, and they don't deal with metal stuff very well. Every time they've had to go against metal stuff, we forgot about we didn't talk about the scene. That was what that air temple scene was in the first, anyway, when there's the flying balloon that Sokka takes up.
With the that's what the mechanism.
Every time
they've,
it is a good episode. Every time they've come across metal stuff, nobody can bend it, so they've got to stop it with something else, and so there's this giant thing and this giant drill, and
with Azula and her
it's got Azula
there.
in it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is bad. They're in a bad way. And then they come up with a plan to stop it.
Sokka comes up with a plan.
And so they go inside. So comical to me. They work for it seems like an hour or more.
Yeah.
Throwing some water back and forth to kind of basically saw.
Yeah, water saw basically.
Yeah. The one of the struts, or one of the structural beams.
Yeah.
And anyway, they finally realize, we don't have to cut all the way through. We can just kind of weaken these.
Because they cut all the way through one and it does
do
nothing.
Anything. Yeah. So they come up with that plan, and then, of course, Azula and her minions figure out that they're doing that, so they go to fight them. And
Azula goes up to fight Aang on top.
Then
they and Ty Lee follow them.
Ty Lee's like, I'm not going down there.
I'm not going into the sludge water.
She was like... Yeah, May was like, I'm just going down. It's fine. And she goes down, and then
gets stuck in the back of the...
Katara just shoves her back up there and holds her, which was funny. And then eventually Toph gets down there and helps her. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what ends up blowing up the whole thing. Which was really cool. There was some
At the
cool
end, May
something.
sticks her head out the thing. Y'all good?
Oh, okay, yeah. She's annoyed. And there's nasty sludge everywhere.
Yeah.
There was something cool that Aang did. Oh, it was when Aang is trying to basically deliver the final blow. He does a really cool
running up the
wall and turning back around and coming back down to hit it. It was a really cool scene.
Yep.
So that was a good episode. They did break through the wall, which I thought was...
Yeah, they did. And it's basically they're sealing the wall itself, which is crazy.
Yep.
So then they actually get into the city, of course, and they meet Judy.
Yep.
And then
it's like typical, to me at least, or I guess it was so long ago that it's probably something somebody gleamed off of, but it reminds me a lot of, I can't remember what the word is, where the society is supposed to be perfect, but it's actually very imperfect. What is that called?
Dystopian.
Yeah, dystopian. There you go. And you see this extremely fake smile on Judy, and anyway, and she won't answer any real questions.
And they keep trying to ask other people, and she's back there.
She's like, no, don't tell them the truth.
Yeah,
you're like, okay, they're hiding something big, and it.
We forgot to mention that Jet turns back up in the Serpent's Pass episode, and he meets Zuko and Iroh, and he thinks he sees Iroh firebend his tea, and so he becomes convinced that so Jet, important for
yes. And I kind of agree with you. Jet is a whatever character. He definitely gets better, but he's still freaking annoying. But yeah, that scene with them getting there is pretty funny. And actually something I had never thought of, and you don't like Attack on Titan, but there's a lot of stuff from what is the city called?
Ba Sing Se.
Ba Sing Se, that is very much like the city from Attack on Titan.
It's probably because the
walls and the way they hide everything. That there's there's some scary monsters out there, but we don't really know what they are, and let's not worry about it. Let's focus on our lives here and whatever, and kind of hide things from all the citizens.
Right.
And anyway, so I found those similarities very funny, because I bet that's where, if I had to bet, that's probably where the guy who came up with Attack on Titan kind of gleaned some of his original material. But anyway, there's some really cool scenes. You find, is this when they actually finally meet the king, or no?
They don't meet the king. They meet
the guy who's running the show.
The head of the Dai Li is escaping me.
Yeah.
What his name is. And he turns out to be corrupt and
super
whatever.
Corrupt, and you don't know quite what he's got going on, but you know that he's basically running the king, and not telling the king everything, but basically running the show.
They do, I think, at this point even capture Jet, and you see the mind.
Oh, that's right.
I think you see that briefly, and you see the mind control, Project Monarch kind of stuff, know.
Yeah.
And yeah. So there's a lot of creepy stuff. They're getting mad. So, Tales of Ba Sing Se, probably my favorite episode in the whole show, honestly. Well, I don't know. There's some really good episodes, but it's the episode with little vignettes. Basically, there's
Momo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which was funny. Which was actually kind of a cute. It almost kind of sad.
Yeah,
he was missing Appa and seeing him everywhere.
Trying to find him.
There's mostly comic light stuff. The Momo one is actually heavier than most of them. And there's the bit with Katara and Toph is kind of cute and fun, and you get to see a little bit more of their positive relationship. And that's
because they've kind of been
fighting
at each other's throats a little bit.
Absolutely,
because they're both females, and
Yeah. Well, and they're very different personalities.
They're both strong females, though.
Strong females with very, very opposite views on how the world goes,
how the world works,
and everything else. Yeah, absolutely. But that's a fun episode, and the end is very fun whenever the two girls are making fun of Toph, and which is sad. Very sad, but it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun when she turns, no, it's fine, whatever. And then she cuts a hole in the bridge and drops them in the water. And they, both the girls laugh about that. And so that's, that's a sweet little thing. I love Sokka's bit. It's hilarious with the haiku thing. Where
he falls into the girls' they're studying
poetry thing
or
whatever. And then he starts basically rap battling the lady, and then he messes up the last one. Has one too many syllables, and gets kicked out. That's hilarious. But
it's funny.
Honestly, the tale of Iroh, that, even though it's not even a full episode, that right there is. I just about cry every time I watch that. It's it sums up everything with Iroh. It is so good. You see him basically going and helping everybody's life. He goes and he sees the flower, and he's this prefers shade, and pushes it back, and and then he turns around, the kid is crying, and he goes and he sings plays a song and plays the same song that comes in later, and and you know the little soldier boy song, and you know, and he pulls his beard, and then it's such a fun little scene, cool, where he meets the robber, and he starts. It's actually basically Zuko in his arc with Zuko. It's very very similar, just in a microcosm of it, because he, you know, at first he teaches, okay, well, your technique's wrong. This is how you should do this. You should. So he helps him where he is, and I think that bit is super important. He helps this person right where he is first, and then he takes him and says, well, you know, you don't have to be this. You can be better, and you know, and I think really be a dentist. I don't even remember what he says, you know, or whatever, and that's. And then, you know, he's been gathering supplies this whole time, and you see, and you don't even realize what's happening until the very end, but you go and you realize it's his son Lutin's birthday, who died, and that was a big changing point in Iroh's life, was when he died. And he sings that same song and just the amount of emotion in a kid's show. Oh my gosh, that's just, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, it was heavy. It was very heavy.
Yeah, sorry I took over that episode.
No, it gives you that. That's kind of that, and there was the scene. I think it was before that when he's with Toph. Of course, they don't know. She doesn't know that he's the firebending, you know, one of the firebending people and all that. But he gives her tea and kind of talks her through the fact that. You know, it's okay to trust people, basically, and she kind of gives him a lesson too. It's kind of a mutual little, little scene. It's really cool. I think that's when I started to like really like Iroh. He's been really good before that, but he's kind of a little bit more surface level until some of the scenes with Zuko, when you start to see that he's actually pushing Zuko very gently and very subtly. Zuko's not seeing it at all, but he's trying to show Zuko it's okay that you don't have to hate everybody, and it's okay to be a good guy, kind of thing. Anyway, but the Toph scene with him, and then of course the scene that you're talking about where he's on the mountainside at the end is just super sad. I was like, oh my gosh, this is getting sadder and sadder and sadder, and then he sings the song, and I guess it was maybe his graveside, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's just kind of I don't remember.
Well, it's the same place. Yeah, I think it may be where he was buried, because that's where he died. Was it, or outside of Ba Sing Se? Yeah, so probably was.
I still want to know
war memorial or something.
At some point, I'm assuming, do they ever go into the War of Ba Sing Se, like when he made his mistake and what all that was?
They don't talk to. I mean, you just through
little bits here.
I mean, yeah.
I wondered if they were going to show it. Anyway, super good episode for sure. All the little split off episodes are all the little.
So, what do you think about Appa's Lost Days?
It was good. It was really good. It was
a tearjerker.
Very different. Yeah, it was. It was another heavy episode. It was very different because it's not led by a main character.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Appa's a main character, but it's not led by a speaking
main character. Yeah.
And so it was his, he went through a ton. Oh my gosh, poor guy. And then finally gets found by Suki and everybody. And then the kind of, at this point, I still don't even know if Suki's okay, because what's her face comes in and they steal
definitely take their clothes away. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, but no, Appa's awesome, and he goes through a lot. Finally gets away and finally gets back to Ba Sing Se, and then taken again
by still can't think of his name. Bad guy
by the leader. Yeah, and so he's there, and then hit
Long Fang. That's his name.
Long Fang. Yep. And then the kid who ends up helping him eat and stuff.
Yeah, at the fire circus
funny
thing.
Scenes. Yeah, with the fire circus was hilarious. With him coming out and then getting away. And anyway, it was good. It was a good episode.
Yeah. So I think during that, I was trying to look and say I think during that episode we also see it's either that, I don't remember. It may be sooner. I don't remember exactly when, but somewhere in there, Zuko and Iroh come back together. And really, and they we're talking about lightning bending, and Iroh tries to teach Zuko how to bend lightning, and Zuko can't do it because he's got too much anger turned up inside of him, and he so he can't do that. So then Iroh teaches him how to redirect lightning, and teaches him.
He runs off into the storm.
Yes, which I love that scene. Yeah. That's just it's probably near around that. That's why I wanted to mention this, because it's another time when you called me after watching it, and there's two things that you didn't talk about this, but you talked about earlier where Zuko's like, I've got to learn more advanced techniques. Because I've got to face Azula. I know you're going to say that I need to love her because she's my sister. And Iroh's like, no, she's crazy and needs to be put down. She needs
to die. Yeah, she needs to go down.
Yeah. And which is Iroh is a very well-rounded character. And so anyway, that's cool. And then Iroh, of course, his whole thing is balance. He learned this technique or created this technique, by watching waterbenders and seeing the connections between that the world isn't all separate, it's all connected, and you can learn things from different places. And so and then that scene where and he doesn't get struck by lightning, but he goes up, and that moment of where he's hollering at the storm and saying, you never held back before, why are you and all that stuff. It's just very, very powerful scene with Zuko just letting the universe basically have it and say, I can take it, whatever. You never have, anyway. That's a cool scene.
Yeah.
So they figure out that Lake Laogai exists because Judy talks about it, and then she gets replaced, and then she gets unreplaced, and
Judy 2.0.
Yeah.
And then you find out there's Judy 3, 4, 5,
etc. Gosh, that's a creepy scene when they go down there and doing that.
Sokka's faces are hilarious, but that one was extremely hilarious. Well, he walks by, he's like,
they do a good job. They do a good job of it still being a kid's show and keeping that humor balanced with it doesn't go all totally off the deep end, but you get some nice boths. But and then Abba's capture, and then you get the scene. It's again a wonderful Iroh scene where Zuko finds a flyer, and he goes and he's going to try to capture Appa, and he's because he can capture the Avatar. I guess he doesn't really know, and he doesn't really know what he's going to do, and at that point, Iroh yells at him, which is the first time he has got. It's always been calm. You need to whatever cool, but he not angry yells. He says, "This is not you. This is enough. We need it. You don't have any plan here. You don't have whatever else. This is not who you are. You've gone. Which is again, it's that cool, basically father figure of the guiding and the loving and all that stuff, and the power of no, this is not who you are. Stop it.
Yeah.
And he listens at that point.
He does.
And he lets Appa go, and just. Again, just Iroh's amazing.
Yeah. And Zuko's character arc is awesome.
Yes, 100% true as well. Yeah. Absolutely. So then they finally do meet the Earth King. Yeah. We forgot about the whole comic thing. So much. Sorry. This video is going to end up being long. We may cut out some bits. Who knows? I don't know. We may just leave it in its entirety. But the comic bit of we're going to go to the party for the king and his bear. You mean Platypus bear? You mean whatever bear?
Turtle bear? Yeah.
It just says bear. But they finally do meet the Earth King. They go and they get Appa back, and they go and they basically storm the castle.
And they're apologizing the entire time. Sorry. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, we really are on your side.
Yeah.
And they find and of course the Earth King is skeptical. It's like you just wrecked my fancy door and whatever, and you're on my side, but they convince him and that Longfang's bad because they tell him about Lake Laogai. They take him there, and of course the Dai Li has destroyed that, earthbending, and so that didn't work. And then they end up getting him to go to the wall to see the demolished drill because Sokka tells him you could ride on the back of Appa, Appa, and so they figure that out and put the Longfang in prison, and it's all happy and whatever, and then they get they get a intelligence report that their father and his band are off.
They get a bunch of letters.
Yes, a bunch of stuff.
What's her name?
Toph's mother is in town.
Mother in town.
Yeah.
And then Aang finally gets the message from the guru.
Yes,
who had attached a letter on. That was a cool scene we didn't talk about, but when Appa finds him, thinks he's Aang because he's bald and he's sitting there doing this, and anyway, licks him, and he's like, I didn't expect to be licked by a giant tongue.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he attaches the report.
And the way he gains Appa's trust is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
That's
it's a very cool scene. But anyway, so they get all these reports and letters and things, and they decide, okay, we've got to split up, which of course they do. It's kind of comical to me because they could have gone and done everything together. But anyway, which it was a good scene. I guess they kind of needed the separation. I think they really did, because they really needed to build this Sokka story. I think that was probably the most important out of everything. You also, of course, have the Avatar when Aang is learning the Avatar state, and that's very important too. But Sokka being able to see his father again was really cool, and him knowing that his father is proud of him and that he trusts him, and
that line where he's saying okay, you men go out there, and Sokka's like, what do I do? What do I do? You heard me. All the men get out there.
Yeah, get ready to fight.
Awesome scene.
Yeah, it was a cool scene.
Yeah.
And then is that next episode the one where Aang is learning?
Yeah, the guru. Well, and Toph gets captured. By the two knuckleheads that are parents. After the stupid teacher, who's I guess a decently powerful bender, and then the pretty powerful WWE announcer guy or whoever they are. They put her in a metal box.
Yep.
Yeah. So then the Guru episode.
Guru episode, and this is another disclaimer where Sean talked about, I think last episode, where if your kids, if you want to watch this with your kids, definitely think about it. For this reason specifically, this episode has a lot more than other things. Talks about the chakras.
This particular episode is the most. It's basically a primer to certain. There are multiple Eastern religions and things, but where chakras and clearing pathway. It's where he talks about. There's more in the episode, but that part is. It's interesting from a an intellectual standpoint and learning about it. It could be a good way for you to explain to your kids about other religions potentially. But anyway, that's what we did. That's there. So
the Toph scene is probably the coolest.
Oh yes, that's absolutely.
Toph is sitting there in the box, and she's like, I can't do anything, and then she kind of
metal box.
Yeah, and then she kind of thinks, maybe I can.
Well, and it connects to the guru thing. And he says metal is just earth, but refined and whatever else. And
anyway, she ends up getting out of the box, which is so cool, and then slamming them back into the
first ever metal bender.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then of course Aang going through all the chakras to the very last one, finding out that in order to completely master
Luke Skywalker
the state,
moment.
In order to completely master the Avatar state, he has to let go of Katara, his love, and he doesn't want to do it. And in that moment, he sees that she's in trouble, so he flies off and whatever. Yeah, good. Still a very good episode, even despite the Eastern stuff, which is interesting anyway.
And there's some comedy in there, and
but both of those scenes, that and the Toph thing. Toph is so cool.
Oh yeah, super. We just see little bit. That's probably the penultimate, not necessarily the ultimate moment, but that's kind of one of the biggest moments where we see just. She says after that, I'm the greatest earthbender, and honestly, at that moment, she probably is. And it's pretty cool. Yeah. And then Crossroads of Destiny, I can't even speak. The end episode for this season, last episode that you've seen. Yeah. There's a lot that happens in this short 20 some odd minute episode.
Every single episode feels like they cram like an hour's worth of stuff into 20 minutes, which is crazy to me because anyway.
So what did you think about that one?
Yeah. So they get back and are going to fight, what is her name?
Azula.
Yeah. Azula. Mm-hmm. And it is.
Well, and Zuko gets captured because they, under pretense, invite Iroh and Zuko to serve tea to the Earth King, they think, and then the Dai Li surround him. And
Yep. They put him away,
the Dragon of the West, and then breathing fire.
Yeah, and then they take Katara and put her down there with him.
Yep.
Which is an interesting.
And they have a moment.
Yeah, that was a very interesting scene because she kind of just falls head over heels with any boy who will twinkle his eyes at her, except for Aang, which is funny.
Well, there's this connection there.
There is
and the mothers, both being killed by the Fire Nation.
That's exactly what. Because she's so mad, and then he says, "Well, I'm sorry about that, and I have that in common with you that my mother was taken by the Fire Nation," and it's very sad and true scene. And then continues on later.
She starts to believe that he could be good.
He could be a good guy. Yeah. And then it continues on, and it's like, maybe I can heal your face. And just as she's about to, of course, Iroh and Aang bust through the wall, and it kind of stops the forward momentum with Zuko, and then Zuko goes back into pissed off, I'm gonna take down the Avatar mode, and you're like, oh my gosh, kid, come on. and Iroh's like, no, this is not you. He's like, go on, y'all get out of here, let me talk to him. And he gets to talk to him for a split second, and then of course his sister shows up and screws up the whole thing. And that, I wasn't sure where the episode was going to go. I think it was good that it definitely made him relapse, because it's obviously not the end, and so we got to see where it goes. But it was a difficult episode because there's just so much that happens, and you're wanting Zuko to have this good final, no, I am a good person and I am stopping you and whatever, but it doesn't happen. He ends up helping his sister, and
betraying his uncle,
which was, I think that was almost the hardest part for me, because it's like, really, he has done everything for you. He's been, you find out a long time ago when he's talking to Toph that the whole time he's been just tracking him. He knows where he is. He's been kind of staying a couple of steps behind so that Zuko doesn't know he's there, but just waiting for him, and there's a lot of love that should be from a father, but has to be from this uncle. It's pretty awesome. But so he betrays him and goes ahead and attacks Aang, and everybody fights, and they're all going crazy. And then Aang realizes, oh my gosh, because they bring out all these Earthbenders, all the Dai Li, and he realizes it's only him and Katara. Yeah. We can't win this, and because I don't remember where Toph is at this point.
She's there
anyway. She is down there?
I think she's there, yeah.
Anyway. But so he's like, I got to let her go. I'm sorry, Katara. And he lets her go. And he goes in the Avatar state. And then he gets shot by lightning.
Basically killed.
Yeah, basically killed. And you're like, crap.
Yeah, you see the cut off of the...
We didn't talk about this, but, they tell him early on, when you're in the Avatar state, somebody tells him, I don't remember who it was.
Roku does.
Oh, that's the time that you can die.
Yeah,
so
and
if you die, you stop
into your past lives. Die.
Yeah. And so anyway, kind of get freaked out, but then of course Katara with her awesome healing abilities.
Well, and the spirit water, the water from the spirit oasis at is
probably what does it. But anyway, very very good ending scene.
End on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll see what comes.
That's right.
What comes
see
in
what
season
comes
3.
In season 3.
Sorry, this has been a little bit longer one, but
it's a lot in this season.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys. If you liked this video, make sure and give it a like. If you didn't, go ahead and give it a dislike. It won't hurt our feelings. No. Probably, maybe. Make sure and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about Avatar and some of your favorite scenes. And make sure you subscribe and ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring. And we will see you next time. Adios.
Bye, guys.